Hello, and welcome to another episode of Earth911 Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, and we're back again with another innovator interview. Today, we're talking with Harold Sokyrka, who is the developer of the Kwik BagIt system. It's a system that includes reusable cloth bags and collapsible bag holders that keep them conveniently upright when you're doing your recycling. Because, sometimes the recycling setup is harder than getting your daily recycling, sorting, and cleaning done. Harold designed the system in order to help people do a better job of putting the right material in the right place and cleaning it beforehand. Now, these bags and stands are made to use when you're doing personal recycling at home, but there are versions available for travel, for yard work, and for construction and hospitals. The Kwik BagIt bags are made of recycled PET, that's plastic number one. They're made from bottles, and they can last for a year or more, according to the site. Harold is a longtime inventor, and he worked for 3 years on the designs of the Kwik BagIt system, which is available now. And we wanted to invite him on the show to tell us about it. You can learn more about Kwik BagIt, which is KWIKBAGIT, kwikbagit.com. Welcome to the show, Harold. How are you today?
Very good, Mitch. Thanks very much. My pleasure to be here.
Well, Kwik BagIt system, it's an aluminum stand that holds the bag up. From my own personal sorting, it makes a lot of sense. I was immediately interested in when I learned about it. What inspired you to spend 3 years developing the Kwik BagIt system?
Well, the first thing is very, very basic. It's difficult to hold a bag open when you're trying to fill it. So you either need three arms or a second person. And that was very frustrating, particularly with yard work. And that's where I began to look at this thing. And you know what? I'm going to make a better system. Because what was out there was really not the best and very difficult to work with. And so I just put my mind to it. And I thought, I'm going to make something better. And before I knew it, the neighbors are all asking, where did you get that? And it obviously created a bit of a buzz. And I thought, I'm going to try and see if this thing is marketable, and took it to a major retailer in Canada here. And lo and behold, with the rough prototype I showed them, they put an order in for 50,000 units, and I wasn't prepared to like that.
50,000 units.
Yeah, it was amazing, the response they gave me. Really, most importantly, here in Canada, we have a couple of things that really make it very, very useful to have a bag system like this. Number one, we have a really good recycling program for bottles and cans. And, municipalities have taken it upon themselves to charge us a deposit for our bottles and cans. And now it's up to us to get our money back. So we take our cans and bottles back to a recycling depot. And obviously we get returned our refund. And they're doing exceptionally well. They're getting a return of 80 to 90% where people are getting their nickel back. But more importantly, the company that was interested in buying 50,000 units, they were from Ontario, and they're in that part of the country. There's a lot of maple trees, which huge leaves in the fall, and they use a paper bag to collect these things. And the problems with paper bags is that they leak. They blow over in the wind just when you're trying to fill it up. So when they saw the stand, they said, "Oh man, this is the answer to our problems." And obviously, it led to my development of the spending 3 years in developing it. It wasn't a simple task because it's requires a lot of engineering in terms of the design, the style, the type of material that's used, and so it took a little bit more time than I anticipated.
Well, I'll tell you, the yard work is the one that immediately struck me, because we have the problem that we have pine needles instead of leaves to pick up, but we have many pounds, and it's really convenient to be able to pick something up and put it into a standing bag. Tell us a little about the design of the system itself. Are the different versions markedly different, or are they simply just designed differently in terms of size or shape?
Well, there's only one size. The Kwik BagIt unit is, and the reason why there's only one size is because I've developed a telescopic rail that will expand from a kitchen-sized bag all the way up to a construction-sized bag. So that was one of the major problems with any bag holders, is you were limited to the size of the bag. So our unit will hold any size or any type of bag, and because it has that ability to adjust.
So you would not need necessarily to use your bag in this. You could use another bag.
Oh, absolutely. The development of the polycloth bag came after the first version. Again, you're dealing with a product that's off the shelf. You've got paper bags, you've got plastic bags. It was something that I was just trying to address a way to make these bags more useful. But the biggest problem is a lot of people will buy a bag and then bring it home and it doesn't fit the holder. So that's where I came up with this idea. Well, let me make it adjustable so that it will fit any size of bag. And then it evolved into the polycloth bag. And it all was because of, in 2018, Canada introduced the zero plastic action plan on zero plastic waste. And I started thinking, you know what, why are we using plastic bags when we're just taking it to the dump, they're using once, it's plugging up our landfills. And that's where it evolved into this reusable polycloth bag, which I started focus on developing. And that's the stage that got me to this whole point of a reusable, bag. The whole point is the 3 R's: reuse, and recycle. And more importantly, why are we plugging up our landfill when we don't really need to?
Sure. And in fact, a lot of the things that go into recycling in a plastic bag are simply pulled off the line and put into the trash because they can't see what's inside. And so this dumping it out of the reusable bag into the bin is the right way to submit the material.
Yes, and that's a very good point because in fact, one of the drawbacks of our deposit system here is that majority of people will bring their recyclables in a black bag. And those bags are very difficult to reuse. In fact, most recycling companies won't even do anything with them. They just simply toss them to the landfill. Well, that's contrary to what the whole program should be doing.
Sure.
Here you got 300 or 400 people coming through a depot every day, and that particular location is sending 300 to 400 bags to the landfill. So it's really contrary to what the purpose is. And that's really what got me really thinking about this whole system of reusing a bag. Simply use it as many times as you can and wash it when it needs to be. And then you're going to save the environment and you're going to save money too.
And there's a really important point that I want to call out as you talk about washing, because a lot of people think about dumping dirty stuff into the recycling. And if you clean it, you don't need to wash those bags very often. If you clean the recycling appropriately, the way it needs to be, you also don't need to wash those bags very often.
Very good point. That's the first step of a proper method of recycling. Recycle wash it what you've used. After you've used it, wash it and put it into your recycle bin. So much of the contamination happens because people don't do that. And for example, when you have a blue bin that's collecting these items over the course of time, and you throw in a peanut butter jar that's got peanut butter in it, well, you basically contaminated the rest of that material that's in that bin. Once it gets into the newspapers, once it gets into the other plastic, it can't be used.
Right.
The biggest problem is broken glass. Throwing in a jar that breaks when it's being transferred to a recycling depot, that just contaminated that whole system, and it really has become that problem for recycling companies. They've got conveyor belts that are flying at 50 miles an hour, and they're trying to sort out good product. Well, no wonder they're ending up with 9% of good product that can be recycled, and they're being close to landfill, and that's where the biggest problem lies. And my system is a very simple system, but it has evolved into a solution to the recycling problems that are facing us today.
So how do you have it set up at home? How do you use the system?
Well, because it's very portable, it can be set up anywhere. And
do you have multiple bins, for instance, so that you can sort?
I do my separating. I'll have a different bag for for aluminum. I'll have a different bag for plastics. I'll have a different bag for glass. And that is to my benefit, because when I go to the recycling depot, I'm not standing there for a long time for them to sort out. I go there with the bags already sorted with the equipment material, and it goes through the system very quickly. But then I take the bag home with me and I reuse it again. I didn't leave that bag behind so they could take it to the landfill.
Right.
That's the whole process. That's the concept behind it.
Now, one question about washing a recycled PET bag that I just want to cover quickly is these things do shed microplastics. So should you avoid it when they're washed, small fibers break off and end up in the water supply or at least in the sewage water supply. And those end up in nature. Would you recommend minimizing the number of times you wash it? And would that extend the life of the bag?
Well, again, if you're using your materials properly and cleaning it before you put in, you'll have limited need to wash those bags.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use my example. I've had my bags for probably 2 years. I've probably washed them 3 times. So, and I don't take it into a washing machine. I simply use a hard garden hose and wash it down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily have to be put into a washing machine or a dishwasher. You just simply use the water from the tap and hose it down. The recycling bag for cans and bottles has a mesh material, so it allows the bag to breathe while materials are in there, and that really helps in the end when you're taking it to get it refundable or get your refunds, because they're not as sticky and the bag has a leak-proof bottom, so that makes it easier to transport it in your vehicle. So these are all the benefits of the bag. There are 2 bags. There's a compost bag, and that's meant for the yard work, and the recycling bag is meant for the recycling cans and bottles.
Now, are you collaborating with waste management companies to get this system out into local recyclers' homes, in addition to the retail presence you have?
Yes, we have a company called Cosmo Industries here in Saskatoon, and it works with individuals who have disabilities and are homebound, where they can't get to a recycling depot. So this company goes to their homes and picks up their items and takes the returns for them. So we've now designed the bag for them to be able to drop them off at the person's home, pick up the full one, empty it, and then leave the bag behind.
Nice.
So they're really interested in this program, and it's going to save them a lot of hassle of dealing with.
Yeah, we did Earth911 did an experiment on the east side of Seattle before the pandemic, where we picked up. We gave people 5 bins, and we picked up the recyclables and gave them notes about how to improve it. And this is actually a practice that's starting to spread across the United States. We didn't pursue that as a commercial business, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, or we probably wouldn't be talking today. But this idea of thinking about your recycling and getting some feedback on it so that you can improve or reduce, I should say, the contamination is really important. Now, one of the reasons that China stopped taking our materials back in 2018 is contamination. Are you still seeing repercussions of that in Canada?
Oh, goodness. We're going to have the effect of that decision for years. Mm-hmm. And recycling companies have to stop doing what they're doing. They have to, in spite of all of the equipment that they're buying, special robotics and scanning devices, they're still not being able to get better than 9% return. So I've gone one step further, and I've taken my bag system and I've developed a series of 7 types of bags for the 7 different types of plastics that go through your home. There are also 2 bags. One bag is strictly for metal cans and aluminum cans, or metal, steel and aluminum cans. And the second one is for glass. So now by using these bags, and my whole system works on the premise that proper recycling starts at the source, in the household, not at the end of a conveyor belt. So what I've designed is the Kwik BagIt Closed-Loop Rewards recycling program.
where you're actually going to get rewarded for proper recycling. And you'll buy a set of bags that'll have these 9 different bags in them. And before you put your material into the blue bin, you're going to separate it into those bags that are identified by the symbols on a plastic material. If you look at any plastic material, you'll see a triangle on the bottom, and there's a number in it. And that number identifies the type of plastic that item is made for.
Right.
So now when that's recycled, and once that's put into the proper bag, it now reduces the amount of sorting that the recycling company is going to have to do. So
lowering their costs. So can they also incent somebody, or is this rewards program purely a Kwik BagIt program? Are you going to be?
No, the point of the recycling program is to have it a licensed program, where you as a householder will be able to purchase those under a license. The retailer will sell them to you under a license, and the recycling company will collect it under a license. So I've applied for an actual patent on this. There's nothing like it that's ever been done. And I can see where this is going to improve our recycling process dramatically. I'll give you an example. For the last 9 months now, I have been sorting my home material. My blue bin has been out to the street on the curb only twice. And when I put the blue bin out there, all that it has in it is newspaper and cardboard. And that's what the blue bin was originally developed for. It's just the recycling companies, they got greedy prior to 2018 when China made the cut. They got greedy and they just wanted you to throw anything in that blue bin because they were getting paid by pound, by container load. And when you ask me about repercussions, we are now beginning to feel the results of this, because those container fulls of garbage, which I call garbage, they called it recycling. China said no more.
They would literally pack a container full of stuff, no matter how dirty it was, and 24% contamination rates on average, and send it to China.
That's right. So China just got smart and said, no, we don't want your garbage anymore. As a result, here's what the dilemma is now. There's no more containers going back to China. And now, as a result, you've got empty containers sitting in Canada, United States, that people don't know what to do with. So now China's in a real spot. They haven't got containers to send product to North America. And as a result, I don't know if you've listened lately, but a container load at one time cost about $4,000 for shipping costs. That same container is now $18,000.
Yeah, this is why we're seeing the inflation and the supply chain issues that we are.
Oh my goodness. And that's the repercussions of what took place because of the failure of our recycling system.
That's an interesting observation. I had not connected that. I tended to think of it as in isolation from all the other things going on from the pandemic, for instance.
Well, the pandemic had a lot to do with it, but by the same token, this whole supply chain is now dramatically been affected by the way the recycling companies treated that system. So
and in fact, that's reflective of our way of thinking about nature, too. We don't think of it as a system. We think, we just changed one element. We mined this, but that didn't ruin everything else. But just like nature, the recycling system is deeply connected and therefore dependent on nothing changing, and everything is changing.
Well, it's interesting that what you just mentioned. Albert Einstein came up with a very good statement. Insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again, and expecting different results.
Yep.
That's exactly what's wrong with our recycling system. The municipalities, unfortunately, they make money on recycling and waste management, and they in turn increase their charges or costs for waste deposits to the landfill because they make money on that. That then puts recycling companies into a real problem because they can't afford to pay that extra charge.
Right.
On the other hand, the homeowner is getting taxed higher because of the fact that recycling isn't done properly. So this is where the insanity comes in. We've got a municipality that's making money on your waste, and they want you to send your waste, and they're going to charge you more for it. On
Sure.
the other hand, the companies that are supposed to separate that stuff, they haven't figured out a way to do it, and it's ending up costing more to send that stuff to the municipalities. So really, it's a real issue, and until we stop this insanity, that's where my effort is, to try and get people to properly recycle. Believe it or not, the plastic that you're putting into your blue bin is valuable to those people who actually turn it into something else. But if it costs them too much to be able to process it, then it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. And that, again, is why China stopped. They did mine our economies for raw materials for several decades. But when they had enough of it that they could start to do it on their own, they stopped accepting all of the contaminated stuff we were sending.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the Kwik BagIt system and what it costs to get started. So the Yardpal version, which is the one I'm looking at, $39.95 for the bag and the stand, and replacement, and that's Canadian, $39.95, and then about $13.99 to get a new bag. What do you suggest somebody buy to get started?
Initially, you just need the yard hole. The Yardpal. That's the $20 item, like the $19 stand. Use whatever bag you've got now, and you'll find out that maybe I should try the cloth bag. On average, a consumer is going to spend or use about 60 different bags, so 60 bags a year. You do the math on that; it's roughly $30 a year in plastic bags that you basically threw away. Now you're going to look out from that point. Well, spend a little bit more money on a cloth bag, which I reuse all the time. And I'm going to save the environment at the same time. So it's not essential that you have the cloth bag. The stand is the most important aspect of it. But
okay, and you can get started for $19.95 Canadian, which is $17 or so.
Thereabouts. Well, that's going to go up because of the cost of my shipping now. Obviously,
like everything, unfortunately.
Like everything else, and that's again a system where we can't control it because of what's happened in the past.
So, can folks find Kwik BagIt anywhere at retail? And which retailer is selling it now?
Well, we currently got a set up with co-op stores, which is similar to your home hardware, I guess. Not
Home Depot.
There's a farm store that's very similar to co-op.
Okay.
And they've been the first company to purchase a volume of it, and it'll be into the stores in mid-September. It's available on our website, kwikbagit.com. And the object is to get it into the retail stores into the U.S. I've made several presentations prior to COVID at trade shows, and I've had extreme interest from major retailers. But it's like anything else with a new product, getting it into the market is difficult.
Well, I certainly wish you luck, because this is a really interesting product, and it's going to solve some problems for me.
Great.
Well, Harold, thank you very much for joining us today and telling us about Kwik BagIt.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
We've been talking with Harold Sokyrka, who is the developer of the Kwik BagIt system, and you can find out more at kwikbagit.com. That's KWIKBAGIT.com. And if you are a church group or a community organization looking for an opportunity to earn some money while helping improve recycling, Harold does have a program set up. Check it out under the fundraising opportunities on the Kwik BagIt website. You can earn up to 25% of the selling price of a Kwik BagIt system if you sell it locally through your organization. This is Earth911 Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, and we'll be back with another interview soon. In the meantime, folks, take care of yourself, take care of one another, and let's all take care of this beautiful planet of ours. Have a green day.